Before we bought our car in Germany, we used to rent cars for weekend activities. We did this for over 8 years. In this video, we would like to share our experience to help you navigate renting a car in Germany. We will cover the requirements for foreigners to rent a car in Germany, the most popular car rental companies in Germany and comparison websites, what to pay attention to while you're booking your car rental, tips for taking out car rental insurance, what to look out for when you get the handover of the car, tips for the car return, and our experience. I know it sounds a lot, but I promise you it's going to be worthwhile for you to watch this video. Hey, my name is Jen and I'm from Guatemala.
And mine is Yvonne and I'm German.
And together we're from simplegermany.com, where we create English content to empower internationals to settle into life in Germany more smoothly. Let's jump into the requirements for foreigners to rent a car in Germany.
Minimum requirement, this is nothing new in Germany, so I think worldwide the case, you need to be 21 years of age. And also if you're even older than that, but still younger than 25 or 26 years, there are restrictions in the car type or even higher prices for renting a car. Your foreign driver's license needs to be in Latin characters. If it is not, then you need an official translation of it with the original or an international driver's license together with the original. One important requirement is that your driver's license needs to be at least 1 year old, meaning you need to at least have 1 year of driving experience. For fancy cars, that can also sometimes be increased to 3 years. And here's a very big requirement, important, that if you have a non-EU driver's license, its validity will automatically expire 6 months after you've moved to Germany. This is a set rule. It doesn't matter of any other requirement that you fulfill, how old your license is, how much experience you have. 6 months after you've moved to Germany, it is no longer valid if the license is from outside the EU. So if you want to rent cars after 6 months, you need to change your license into a German one. Whether that is a quick or not so quick process depends highly on where your license is from. We have a whole guide and other video on that topic, which we will link for you to look into detail.
And here's an important thing to pay attention to. Depending on the country that you're coming from, you won't be able to just swap your driver's license with the years of experience that you have driving. In my case, I'm from Guatemala, this swapping doesn't exist. So I had to go through the whole process of getting the German driver's license. So when I got my German driver's license, I had to give my Guatemalan one away. And that meant kind of my years of experience got reset on the German one. So I had to wait 1 year before I could rent a car with my German driver's license in Germany.
So depending on what plans you have, keep that in mind so you can plan around this 6 months or 1 year period. You will of course need to have another ID, either your residence permit or your passport to prove your identity next to your license. And you will need to have, now the rental companies always state a credit card, but I've also used a debit card as long as there is enough funds in the account to put your deposit down.
Now, what are the most popular car rental companies in Germany? We went to the internets and found Statista with the answer. And the most popular ones, by most popular to least popular, as you can see on the screen, is Europcar, Sixt, Avis, Hertz, Enterprise, and Buchbinder?
Buchbinder.
Yeah, I was going to say Buchbinder. And as we can also see on the statistics, Sonstiges, which is everything else, is 24%, meaning there's a lot of smaller local car rental companies in the city that you live in as well. But these are the big 6 players, who usually tend to have the best offers, I must say.
If we're speaking of offers, so of course one can book directly with these companies or use one of the very popular comparison websites in the internet. And the biggest, by far largest platform in Germany is called Billiger Mietwagen. We will leave the links in the description below. And if this is unfortunately all in German, so if you can either translate it with, in the browser with a right click and choose to translate the website, or if you would like to have an English platform, you can also use a platform like rentalcars.com, which is operated by booking.com. Pretty much you can use also the website you're used to from home because car rental is usually a worldwide gig.
Now, what should you look out for when you're booking a car in Germany? First of all is the gear. The majority of cars that are being rented in Germany, they are they're manual gear. I was getting confused. They're manual, so like stick shift. So if you don't know how to drive stick shift, then you should definitely get an automatic, which, because there's less number of automatic cars being rented, it tends to be a little bit more expensive to rent an automatic car.
Another thing to pay attention to is what mileage is included. Very often it is limited to, for example, 950 kilometers for the rental period. So depending on what your plans are, if it's just a quick, short weekend trip, that might be enough. If you're planning on driving longer distances, just be sure that all mileage is included to avoid extra fees.
Also, depending on the purpose of your car rental, you should pay attention if an extra driver is available or possible or not. Sometimes it is included in the rental price. Other times you need to add it as an add-on, which is an extra fee that you need to pay to be able to allow someone else to drive the car that you just rented.
Right, and if you want someone else to drive it, that person needs to be also present at pickup and hand in the license and the details and everything.
The same license requirements apply.
One very important factor for Germany is that if you're driving with children, then you need to have a child seat in the car. And for that, ideally, the car rental company provides those. This is not always a given, and of course there is less available than they have cars. So this is super important that you secure that spot during the booking process. And what do I mean by children? So there's two parameters to pay attention to: the age or the size. And it is an or distinguishment. So either until the age of 12, a child needs to have a child seat, or if a child is smaller than 1.50 meters in size, whichever is applicable, then a child seat is absolutely necessary by law.
And the last thing is, of course, insurance. That is super important. So let's jump directly into what car rental insurance should you consider when renting a car in Germany.
Yes, and this is the topic where we also got questions from you where you're unsure which ones you should take out, because you often have like this image in mind of this sleazy salesman at the pickup and trying to oversell you with insurance. So there is a very straightforward process for this. First of all, we need to understand what insurance is necessary and what you usually get. So any booking in Germany will always come with liability insurance to a certain amount that is listed in the booking, and with a basic comprehensive cover. In English, it's often called collision damage waiver, as well as theft protection is included. However, there is usually always an excess or a deductible that you need to pay out of your own pocket in case of any damage, and often per damage. So depending on what kind of accident you get into, this could be applied multiple times. And in my experience, it's usually between 500 and 1,000 euros. It highly depends on the car type that you're renting. If it's a fancy car, it might be more. And another thing that might not be included in cover is the tires, glass, as well as the underbody of the car. Those are the small exceptions that where you think you might be insured actually may add to extra costs down the line. For example, if your windshield breaks because of a stone that hits it. The excess or the deductible usually is the amount that gets blocked on your debit or credit card until you return the car. So this is what you need to have available as a deposit pretty much.
So how do you get rid of this excess amount that you might have to pay in case of damages? So there are three options. Number one, you can book it directly with the car rental company, which tends to be the easiest, but at the same time, the most expensive way to do it.
Number two is to book it through a third party. For example, if you use a comparison website like Billiger Mietwagen, you will most often always have like the actual car rental company and an operator in between who will provide extra insurance. It sounds a bit complicated and it might work, but it's all in German, so it's definitely not the most streamlined process. And you will always need to first pay the car rental, the excess, and then claim it with the extra insurance provider.
The other option, which is actually our favorite option, is to just book the car with the included insurances with the car rental company and get the additional insurance, this excess insurance, from rentalcover.com. We will leave the link in the description box below. If you get an insurance from them, we will get a small commission at no extra cost to you. We've used rentalcover.com for every car rental that we had after we had an incident, which we'll talk about later with a car rental company in Germany. And we even had a small accident while we rented a camper van and we were in Slovenia. And the same process applied. We had to first figure it out with the car rental company, paid them, but then rentalcover.com covered all the costs. It was a super smooth process. Everything is in English. Everything is digitalized. The response was amazing. I was very pleasantly surprised by the experience, even though the whole car accident thing was not the best thing.
If this video is valuable to you, then please be sure to like it and also subscribe to our channel.
And if you want to go with the additional mile, you can join our online community. This is like a two-part thing. Number one, you're supporting Simple Germany with a monthly payment. And number two, you get access to a thriving online community to meet other smoothlers like you who are either planning to move to Germany or are already in Germany. You can join at simplegermany.com/club. Now, here are some things you should pay attention to when you get the handover from the car rental company. First, a little bit of context. Germans take care of everything, not only their cars, but I would say everything. It's a society that really maintains and takes care of things. Therefore, even the smallest scratch on a car is considered a damage. This in comparison to Guatemala, for example, when you rent a car and the cars tend to have a lot of scratches, they don't really care about these scratches. But in Germany, scratches are a big deal, no matter how small they are.
Well, that's not true. Usually it's like a €2 coin. Anything below that doesn't count. But still, I would always mark everything.
Yes. So the process when getting your rental car is that before you can drive it, it needs to be an official handover. And for this, it can be one of two ways. Number one, a sales representative goes with you to the car with the paper where they mark all the damages. Second option is that they give you the paper and you should be the one to go to the car and mark all the damages. So in that particular case that I got burned, I had the second option. I had the piece of paper and I had to go to the garage and check for the damages. I was in a rush because it had already been a hectic situation in the office. I was late to where I was supposed to go and everything just compiled. So I felt very stressed. So as I went, I did a quick check, like anything. I checked very quickly. I marked some things, I returned it and I took off. When I returned the car, it turns out there was a small dent at the front right side of the bumper, which of course it was my responsibility. I didn't crash the car. I didn't park the car anywhere where it would have been crashed on that weekend, but it was regardless. I didn't mark it on that handover. So I had to pay €500 for this, which is the excess. And I didn't have rental cover. I had not gotten any extra insurance. So it all came from my beautiful pocket and it was very painful. I discussed very much with the car rental dude. I told him, I explained him, I showed him pictures of where the car was parked. It doesn't matter. It wasn't on the paper, you didn't mark it, now there's a damage, it's your responsibility. Lesson learned, check everything. Check the roof, check the doors, the tires, the rims, the front. And if it's a dark garage, take out your phone, turn on the flashlight, and make sure to check everything. Take your time, no matter if you're stressed and no matter if you're running late to go somewhere.
So when you return the car, the same process could apply. You could either return it to a person or you can return it without anyone present and you actually drop the key into a drop box. If there's a person, always stick around until they check the car and give you the all good. If there's no person and you want to be extra sure, take pictures of the car where you left it with a timestamp just so that you know this is how I left the car in case anything might occur afterwards. Now, usually there is not so much fishy or shady business in this. It's just because Jen got burned once that we paid extra attention afterwards. And we also never rented from that company again. We changed afterwards because we felt very much cheated in a way.
Yes, and that company was Enterprise, which is one of the biggest, as we saw from the statistics, car rental companies in Germany. And after that incident, we changed to
Europcar, which I actually at the time didn't know that it was the biggest one in Germany. It was mainly a decision based on location. It was super convenient to my office, so I could walk there after work, pick up the car, and they also have very good weekend offers. So a big tip here also, if you're looking for weekend rental, then sometimes the offer is cheaper if you rent from Friday afternoon, evening till Monday morning than if you want to return on Sunday. You can still return on Sunday, but if you book it till Monday morning, it's often cheaper. But play around yourself. So whenever we rented a car for the weekend within Germany, we've always booked it directly with Europcar. And whenever we booked a car for longer trips or abroad, usually we compare at Billiger Mietwagen to get the best deal. And we always nowadays, or for the past years, book our excess car insurance with rentalcover.com.
Which, by the way, I didn't mention in the pros of this rentalcover.com is that they tend to be a lot cheaper than the offers of third-party people or other third-party people or the car rental company. If you want to know tips, tricks, and all the things you should watch out for when you're driving in Germany, make sure to check out our playlist, which has all this content called Driving in Germany playlist, which you can check out here on the left. Until next time,
cheers!